dig or get out starts to fall by the wayside. In fact, we know biomimicry is always more efficient. And biomimicry, the foundations of biomimicry are always going to involve diversity, not monospeciation. It's going to involve synergy, not single things. Symbiosis, stacking, and pathogen cul-de-sacs. Now a corollary of this principle that bigger farms are more efficient. A corollary of this is that our culture is healthier the fewer the farmers we have. We've now been so successful that we now incarcerate twice as many people in prisons in America as we have farmers. That's a pretty amazing first time. No civilization in history has ever come close to that. In fact, I would scream to our culture, folks, this ain't normal. In fact, that's the title of my new book coming out October 10th. Folks, this ain't normal. We are a guinea pig culture. No culture in history has ever eaten unpronounceable food you can't make in your kitchen, has tried to raise children with no chores, has had food police to tell us we can't drink raw milk, has had cheap energy and fed their cows dead cows. No culture in history has ever done that. This is an abnormality in the historical blip. And of course, we think another kind of corollary of this is that farmers are dolts. If you're a D student, well, you can go back to the farm. But if you make good grades, you got some brains up here. Well, then you go to town, you become an engineer, an attorney, a doctor, a bureaucrat, somebody, and you get this 401k plan and weeks of paid vacation. You get to sit behind a cubicle somewhere, working for the man, and that's what we do with the best and brightest. And I'm here to extol the virtues and perhaps a new goal, even we could call it a new place of nirvana in our culture, if we could ever return to the Jeffersonian intellectual agrarian. The fact is, we will never have as honest and sacred a food system or landscape stewardship system until we have models and paradigms that will attract our best and brightest into those fields. And we'll know that we've arrived when the next time you go to a soccer game and all the soccer moms are out sticking out their chest, strutting their stuff, and bragging on their little child prodigies, out here running around kicking the soccer ball, when one of them has the audacity to say, well, my little Johnny or Mary is going to be a farmer, and all the other moms stop and say, wow, cool, awesome. So you farmers in the audience, take a bath. Get a suit of clothes. Clean off the hay chaff. We need to be prepared and ready to stand toe-to-toe with the best executives of our culture, because we are the stewards of our grandchildren's soil, air, and water. And I would suggest, just like other things in our culture that in order to be done well require people, all of the things that we know need done well, we need people to do. Except for farming. And somehow we think landscape stewardship can be done well without people. Can you imagine somebody walking in and saying, we're going to go to economies of scale and education, so we're going to fire most of the teachers, and we'll go to 200 child teacher-student class sizes, and we'll get economies of scale in education. Can you imagine that?
It's coming.
It's coming. Well, maybe then everybody will turn into homeschoolers. But anyway, You never know what hot buttons are going to be. Down in Alabama, it's when I announced that I'm from the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, which was the breadbasket of the Confederacy during the War of Northern Aggression. That just gets polite laughs up here. Down there, they take their hankies and woo! You know, just fine. All right, you ready for number 3? How's our time? Number 3, life, you ready for the next axiom in our culture? Life is fundamentally mechanical, not biological. That's an axiom in our culture right now. Life is fundamentally mechanical, not biological. We view it as a bunch of pieces because our culture is an extension of the Greco-Roman Western reductionist, linear, compartmentalized, fragmentized, systematized, parts-oriented, individualized thinking, in which nothing connects to anything else. And that's how we can pull all the wheat germ and all the good stuff out of grain and then bake a loaf with it and go in a laboratory and concoct artificial D, E, and A and put it on the enriched bread. You know, it's back to the Star Trek pill breakfast, you know. The difference, the fundamental difference between machines and biology is that biology can heal. And boy, we had better be thankful that it can. This is a Sunday, so this is your sermonette. Aren't we thankful? Can't we be thankful that we're not like a bearing in a car? You know, if you go out of here today and you go home today, after you've come and listened to my slide program, and you get in your car and you start down the road and you hear a thump, thump, thump from the right wheel bearing, you can get out of your car and walk around to that wheel bearing and you can apologize for not keeping grease on it. You can lay hands and pray for it. You can say, I'll let you rest. I'll take you to a sanatorium for 5 years. You can say all kinds of things to that bearing. Take as long as you want. When you get in that car to start back up, what's it going to do? Thump, thump, thump. But people can forgive. Our bodies can heal. The land can heal. 50 years ago this summer, Easter, 1961, our family arrived after losing a farm in Venezuela, South America, to a junta down there. Dad was there 14 years. I was just 4. Got off the ship in Philadelphia, looked at farms in a day's trip from Washington, D.C., because Dad was still hoping to go back, and he was meeting with the Venezuelan ambassador and stuff, trying to get the farm back. We had a deed, you know, he'd paid for it, lost all of his equity. And we found, finally that hope was gone, and so we looked at these farms, and we found the cheapest, most eroded, junkiest farm in that whole thing. That's why it was cheap. Back then, land was priced based on productive capacity, not, you know, viewscape. And this farm, we're in the Shenandoah Valley. Remember, this was the breadbasket of the Confederacy. This went under, 200 years of cultivation. This was the, we sent out of the valley. We sent wheat and grain to Philadelphia, and we have the first macadam road in the country to handle all those wagon trains of grains going out of there. Anyway, it was a that's why the North had to burn it in order to eliminate the South. And because it was abundant, all right? And the abundance was created by centuries, if not millennia, of herbivores and perennials and predation, disturbance, rest, and movement, okay? And, of course, that's what we're still harvesting today in the Midwest now, the deposits of all those years of that. But anyway, so our farm had so little soil on it, depending on who you talk to, lost anywhere from 3 to 5 feet of soil, so that we had areas half the size of this tent, many of them around the farm, 100 acres, several of them half the size of this tent, that were round, saucer-shaped galls in the fields where 5 feet of topsoil had left over 200 years, and it was just solid shale rock. There was so little soil that in the early 60s, when we started with controlled grazing and electric fencing, there wasn't enough soil to hold up electric fence stakes. So Dad poured concrete in used car tires. You go down to the tire dealers, get used, junk tires, and pour concrete in them, push a half-inch pipe, one straight up and down, and one on a little bit of a slope. So, if you're on a slope, you could, all right. And he piled these up on a tractor platform, and my brother and I, he was a little bit older than I was, the two of us, kids, we'd ride back there, and the two of us could get on these, these concrete stanchions and heave them off as Dad drove slow up through the field, and he'd go along and stick electric fence stakes in the half-inch pipes, because we didn't have enough soil to hold up electric fence stakes. And I'm proud to say today, and it still gives me chill bumps every time I say it, that today you can come, you're welcome to come, anybody's welcome to come, 24/7, 365, unannounced, anytime to see anything anywhere on our farm, and you will not find any of those. They're all 8 to 12 inches of, it's still thin, but they're all covered up with lush clovers and grass and a diversity of pasture, and they look beautiful. Nature. Nature can heal. Nature can heal. And that's the fundamental difference between the mechanical and the biological view. See, we've got this, a corollary of this view is that viewing life from a biological standpoint just can't feed the world. We need machines. We need chemicals. We need anhydrous ammonia. We need pig iron under our thing. That's why I always say organic farmers have to be sissies, It's just not masculine to come in all day and loving Matilda sees her big hunk Harry, come in. Harry, what have you been doing all day? And Harry says, oh, I made the cows happy. That's just not masculine. You got to come in and say, man, I've been driving a tractor, I got smell the grease, smell the oil, I tore up earthworms and I, killed a bunch of stuff. Can we feed the world? Let me give you a couple sound bites for this, because we have to be ready to defend this. All right, I gave you the one on elitism. In my opinion, the real elitists in the food system are the ones that don't want you and I to have food freedom of choice to do business with our neighbors. Those are the real elitists. But on the feeding the world, a couple things. One, it's a well-recognized across-the-board fact that 40% of all the human-ready edible food, now that's a very careful phrase, human-ready edible food. This is not stuff that's in process. This is ready to eat, all right? Human-ready edible food, 40% of it never gets eaten. It gets thrown out, it spoils, rats eat it, whatever. 40%. If we localize the food system, then it shortens the chain of custody, reduces the warehousing, and reduces the, I hope that was a happy. Are you a happy pig? All right. That it reduces the warehousing and the transportation that accounts for a lot of those losses. So that's one. Secondly, America, ready for this one, has 35 million acres of lawn. 35 million acres of lawn. Now, I'm not saying a lawn is sinful, okay? Don't get me wrong. What I am saying is it's crazy to sit here and, oh, no, we can't feed the world, we can't feed the world, we can't feed the world. We got 35 million acres of lawn. And, to top that off, we've got 36 million acres.